When my boys were little, we went to a place called Seaver's Corn Maze, and their favorite activity to do there was the pumpkin cannon, where you would take small pumpkins, slide them into a cannon, and shoot them out at different targets. A few years later, I realized that there's competitions for this. One of the most famous one is called Pumpkin Chunkin', and it typically happens in Delaware, and hundreds of people come together to see how far they can shoot pumpkins using a slingshot or a catapult or a trebuchet or a cannon. Let's take a look.
On a bone-chilling November morning near the Delaware seashore, massive cannons and catapults are being assembled as if the nation was preparing for battle.
Fire in the hole, fire in the hole.
But this arsenal won't be used to combat enemy raiders or for historic war reenactments. These weapons are being made exclusively for throwing pumpkins.
Well, this is the Second Amendment, and this is absolutely the baddest pumpkin gun on the planet.
The Pumpkin Chunkin' Festival was started 20 years ago near Millsboro, Delaware, with 3 slingshot-style machines shooting pumpkins in someone's backyard. Little did the founders know that this first event would inspire a veritable arms race. Today, 100 teams are stationed on the front line, preparing to see how far their self-designed weapons can launch a pumpkin across a 280-acre cornfield.
In 1986, there were 4 guys sitting around the local blacksmith shop discussing medieval games, specifically anvil tossing. They rapidly found out that was rough on the back and shoulders, so they decided they could build a machine to throw it. Anvils were expensive, they bought pumpkins, and here we are 21 years later throwing pumpkins at the World Championship Pumpkin Chunkin'.
The machines range from high school physics projects made from junkyard scraps to high-tech blasters that can cost upwards of $200,000. Although explosives are forbidden across the board, many of these machines still pack quite a punch. Because of the wide variety of contraptions, the competition is divided into different classes.
What we consider the big boys of the competition are the air cannons. Of course, all those guys are looking for what we refer to as the mythical mile.
The air cannons work by sending a rush of compressed air into the barrel, which rockets the pumpkin out the other end. These cannons can launch pumpkins over 4,000 feet, about the length of 11 football fields. And this year, current record holder Second Amendment is gunning for the mile mark at 5,280 feet.
Current world record is 4,434 feet. In practice last weekend, we shot one over 5,000 feet.
Another team going for gold today is Team Chucky, a team that will be competing in the Torsion Catapult division.
Torsion catapult is what most people think of when they think of like an old-fashioned Roman catapult. And what it is, there's a bundle of rope that gets twisted, and tension gets put into it, and so the rope becomes a torsion spring. And it's that tension stored in the bundle of twisted rope that makes the arm go forward.
That is so cool. So, a slingshot, a catapult, a trebuchet, and a cannon are all a type of mechanism that is used to forcefully propel or launch or move a stone or a spear or a pumpkin or an object really far through the air. A slingshot is a Y-shaped stick that has an elastic band tied to the top 2 ends of the Y. You put the object in that little pouch, pull back and create tension. Think of a rubber band when you pull it back, and then energy or tension is stored until you release it, and then it propels or moves that object forward. A catapult is a device used to launch a projectile or an object without the help of explosives. It's pretty similar to a slingshot, but obviously it's bigger. A trebuchet is a type of catapult that's used for heavier projectiles or objects. It uses a little bit different of a weight system. Honestly, I kind of included a trebuchet because it's just fun to say. Try it. Trebuchet. A cannon is usually large and tubular in shape, so it has a shape that looks like a tube. and it uses gunpowder or possibly compressed air to propel an object over a large distance. Today, we are going to focus on catapults. So a catapult works by taking a bucket or an area that's going to hold the object that you're going to launch, and it's typically pulled back to create tension. When you let go of that tension or that tightness or the energy that you've pulled down, the object in the bucket is propelled or released forward, making it airborne. Here are a few shots that I think are pretty cool using a catapult.
Long ball. This is the slap shot. That's money. That's money.
Now it's your turn. Can you create a catapult that can launch a projectile or an object through the air? Let's take a look at your directions. For the Build a Catapult challenge, you will need to construct a catapult that will launch an object the farthest distance. You'll need an object to launch, and you can use plastic spoons, rubber bands, tape, popsicle sticks. You'll need a measurement tool. You'll need a testing area. It can be indoor or outdoor. A target is an optional item you might like to use. And if you don't have any of the above items, you are free to use any object you can think of. But remember, you must construct the catapult. For my catapult, I am going to use popsicle sticks, rubber bands. I've got a plastic spoon there that's kind of hard to see, a Nerf gun bullet for my projectile, and then I made a target, and I've got a tape measure. All right, here's my catapult. Now it's time to test it. When you're testing out your catapult, we want you to try it 3 different times at least. And we want you to see which number is the largest, the furthest distance you can get your projectile or your object to launch. Remember, if your catapult doesn't work right away, that's fine. Make some modifications, make some changes, and see if you can get it to launch a further distance. Let's see how this one goes. Well, engineers, do you want an extra challenge for this one? If you do, create that target and see how many times you have to launch your catapult to actually hit the target. We can't wait to see your catapults.